Second week of Easter, April 21, Friday. First reading, Acts chapter 5, verses 34 to 42. But one member, a Pharisee named Gamaliel, who was an expert in religious law and respected by all the people, stood up and ordered that the men be sent outside the council chamber for a while. Then he said to his colleagues, "Men of Israel, take care what you are planning to do to these men. Some time ago there was that fellow Theudas who pretended to be someone great. About 400 others joined him, but he was killed and all his followers went their various ways. The whole movement came to nothing. After him, at the time of the census, there was Judas of Galilee. He got people to follow him, but he was killed too, and all his followers were scattered. So my advice is, leave these men alone. Let them go. If they are planning and doing these things merely on their own, it will soon be overthrown. But if it is from God, you will not be able to overthrow them. You may even find yourselves fighting against God." The others accepted his advice. They called in the apostles and had them flogged. Then they ordered them never again to speak in the name of Jesus, and they let them go. The apostles left the high council rejoicing that God had counted them worthy to suffer disgrace for the name of Jesus. And every day, in the temple and from house to house, they continued to teach and preach this message: Jesus is the Messiah. Gospel, John chapter 6, verses 1 to 15. After this, Jesus went to the other side of the Sea of Galilee near Tiberias, and large crowds followed him because of the miraculous signs they saw when he healed the sick. So he went up into the hills and sat down there with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Then lifting up his eyes, Jesus saw the crowds that were coming to him, and said to Philip, "Where shall we buy bread so that these people may eat?" He said this to test Philip, for he himself knew what he was going to do. Philip answered him, 200 silver coins would not buy enough bread for each of them to have a piece." Then one of Jesus' disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said, "There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish. But what good are these for so many?" Jesus said, "Make the people sit down." There was plenty of grass there, so the people, about 5,000 men, sat down. Jesus then took the loaves, gave thanks, and distributed them to those who were seated. He did the same with the fish and gave them as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten enough, he told his disciples, "Gather up the pieces left over, that nothing may be lost." So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with bread, that is, with pieces of the 5 barley loaves left over by those who had eaten. When the people saw the miracle which Jesus had performed, they said, "This is really the prophet, the one who is to come into the world." Jesus realized that they would come and take him by force to make him king, so he fled to the hills by himself.